Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Charles Rather, managing partner at Law Group, where we focus on all things related to business immigration in America. Today, very interesting topic, sensitive topic maybe for some people, especially some lawyers, is how do you verify the qualifications of an immigration attorney? And in particular, I wanted to talk about the qualifications of an EB-5 attorney, because I would say the consequences for working with a bad attorney are especially great when you're dealing with EB-5. You're investing $800,000. You're involved with that attorney, or will be involved with him, for probably 2, 3, even longer, up to 5 or 6 years. You want to make sure you make the right choice, and it's very important for you and the future of your family with their transition to the U.S. But the question comes up, well, how can I do that? Of course, you can check the bar records. In every state, there's a bar that licenses attorneys, but that's usually not too helpful. The bar has very general information, and of course it's related to a lot of things, maybe not even related to EB-5. Maybe there was a complaint about a lawyer when they used to do corporate law, 5 years ago. It really doesn't address your concerns about his or her qualifications right now with immigration, and in particular, even EB-5. But again, you can go on the state website for the bar of the state where your attorney is licensed and at least get some general information. I mean, if there's some other problems there not related to EB-5, that might be enough to convince you that maybe it's not a good idea to work with this person. I think one of the best ways to find out if a person is well qualified for EB-5 is you ask the potential attorney, how many years have you been doing EB-5? And if that attorney gives any number, I would say less than 6 years, I would be very hesitant to work with him or her. And that's a generalization, of course, and there's always going to be exceptions. But why do I say 6 years? Well, just because until recently, when they started expediting rural projects, it was generally at least 3 years that it took for an I-526 to get approved. In many cases, it was as much as 4 years or longer. So I would say at least 3 to 4 years for an attorney to get feedback on the very first petitions he or she might have filed. So even if an attorney says, hey, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years, at first glance that seems to be a pretty long period of time. But in reality for EB-5, I'd say that's nothing. Because in 4 or 5 years, at most, for the most part, you're only going to get feedback maybe from the first petitions you've ever filed. And so the work with the EB-5 world is very accumulative, right? There's no right answers. Things are always constantly changing. And with anything in life, the more you do something, the more experience you have, the better you get. And so if your attorney has only been doing this 4 or 5 years, which again sounds like a lot, but in the EB-5 world, at best, he or she's only going to be getting feedback for those first petitions that they filed maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I think as an attorney who's been doing this 15 years, you need a lot of iterations before you can really hone your technique and really know what you're doing. Like I said, we've been doing this for 15 years. Fortunately, we're well beyond the learning curve and taking off the training wheels, and I think we're going full speed at what we do, and we have excellent track record that I've spoken about in some of our other videos. So, but if you're looking at another attorney, again, find out what the track record is. I would say they'd have to have at least 6 years of doing this, because otherwise you're going to be a guinea pig for them, and you don't want them to be experimenting on your case. The other possible way of getting more information is talking to the regional centers. If your attorney or potential attorney is assuring you that they've done EB-5 for years and years and they know what they're doing, get at least 2 or 3 regional centers with which they've worked in the past. And I am sure that if you contact those regional centers, and those regional centers were happy with the results of the attorney and how they handled the cases for their clients, I'm sure they're going to give you positive feedback. If they don't give you positive feedback, I think that's a good sign that things weren't too great. America is very litigious. People are very nervous about saying bad things about other people because of the possible legal consequences. So I think if a regional center says, sorry, we're not able to comment on this, or we don't have any information, I think that's probably a good sign that things didn't go too well and they just don't want to step on a hornet's nest and create bigger problems for anybody else. So hopefully this was a little bit helpful for you in terms of picking a qualified attorney, particularly for the EB-5 program. Again, it's a difficult process, and as much as we like to work with as many people as possible, I completely understand that in some cases, it's maybe just not the right fit for people or their personalities and whatnot, because on the EB-5 level, you're going to be working with your attorney for at least 5 years, probably, if not longer. So you want to make sure it's a good fit. You guys are all on the same page. But if you do think we might be a good match for you and your family, please feel free to reach out to us for a consultation in order to discuss your particular circumstances and see how we can help you make that transition to the U.S. go smooth and successfully.